Hi everyone, this video is to welcome you to our English 300 online course and kind of go over the main points of the syllabus, the key concepts, and particular policies and expectations and things like that, so you kind of know what you're getting into over the next 8 weeks. So this is English 300. My name is Dr. Jeffrey Way. I will be your instructor for the semester, for the course, since this is occurring over 8 weeks. So I'm gonna, like I said, go through the syllabus and touch on the key points. And if you have questions, feel free to contact me. You do have one of your first assignments is to look over the syllabus in more detail and take a quiz to answer some questions about it. Make sure you're aware of all the policies and things like that. So the easiest way to get a hold of me is via email, jeff.way@washburn.edu. I check that regularly during the week. I will, during the week, if you send me an email, I'll get back to you usually within 24 hours. Over the weekend, it might be a little bit longer. It just kind of depends, but I'll make sure to get back to you as soon as possible. The only time this might be a bit of an issue is I will be out of town at a conference the first full week of April, and I'll let you know well ahead of time and have announcements of the week of when I'm going to be gone. But during that one stretch, I might not get back to you as quickly, but otherwise I should be, responding to your emails as soon as I can. So you can also call my office, but if I'm not around, or especially if it's on the weekend, I won't get your message till I get back to my office the following week. So definitely email me if you have questions and you want to get in touch. So office hours that I'm holding this semester, I do teach my other 3 courses this semester are on Washburn's campus. They are face-to-face courses. So I have regular office hours from 1 to 2 p.m. in my office, which is Morgan 133, on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday usually. Occasionally that might change briefly because of a meeting. But if you are on campus or near campus and you'd like to set up a time to meet face-to-face, I am glad to do that. Feel free to stop by during my office hours too. Otherwise, we can contact one another via Zoom and set up a video conference. And so, I'm glad to do it during my regular office hours as well. Or if those don't work for your schedule, we can set up another time that will work for you to make sure that we can, talk about things if you have any questions or issues with the class or assignment, anything like that. So it is also part of the course. You do have to set up at least one conference with me, whether it's face-to-face or via Zoom throughout the class, and we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about with regards to the current assignment you're working on. This is, as English 300, this is the second part of the composition sequence that you have started with English 101 or the equivalent. On the syllabus, it covers those course outcomes. I'm not going to go over those now, but do take a look at those because that basically gives you the idea of what skills goals you're working on with each of these assignments you're going to be doing throughout the course, and give you a sense about kind of what the purpose of English 300 is and the work you're going to be doing here. So there is one required book it's Everything's an Argument. It's the 7th edition here. You notice it's green. Notice it's the smaller version. There is a longer version online with readings. It's a little bit more expensive, so I ask that you just get the brief version. So it's available through Amazon. I believe the bookstore should still have some copies. I haven't checked recently though. It's kind of been hit or miss lately. But you can get it on Amazon, cheaply. You can rent it. Feel free to get the Kindle version if you want. You can rent that pretty cheap. It's part of the reason I chose this book is because it's fairly inexpensive, but really still covers a lot of the core concepts that we need. So other than the book, everything else you'll need, I have on D2L. So there's videos and articles and things like that for activities you'll be looking at. So that's the only external book you need. You do need to have access to Microsoft Word 2013, and if you don't have that, you get it free through Washburn with your Washburn ID and password. So make sure that you have a copy of that because you will need to submit your papers to me in Microsoft Word format. I'll be giving you comments back that way. And then you obviously need to have D2L access. Make sure you're accessing it regularly. I recommend daily, even if you're not completing the assignments, checking in. Also, you need to be checking your Washburn email daily. If I need to get a hold of you, I'll send you an email, so make sure you're checking that regularly. The other things is other supplies, access to a computer with an internet connection. Obviously, this is an online course, so you need to have regular access. You can get on, complete, and submit the assignment. And then access to a college-level dictionary or thesaurus. So dictionary.com and thesaurus.com are great tools. You can get apps for both sites, I believe, on the iPhone, the iPad, those Android devices. So they're out there. They're just great tools for when you get caught up, when you're either not sure what a word is, you want to make sure and kind of confirm that the word is what you think it is, or if you find yourself using the same word or phrase 50 times over in a paper, thesaurus.com is a great tool to kind of vary your word choice a little bit. So the entire course is online, so you'll be working mostly at your own pace. Assignments are designed, and I'll talk about the calendar in a bit, mostly on a week schedule. There are some other deadlines that you need to be aware of, so make sure you look at that so you can see the kind of methodology, the different things you'll be doing. Besides obviously readings and resources and videos and things like that, you'll be completing discussions at a couple of points throughout the semester, be submitting assignments to me, completing learning activities. The other thing I do want to point out is that you have, with each assignment, we'll be doing a peer review, and when we get closer, you'll see the directions for all that. We'll go over that. So you can see the grading breakdown. So the course overall, it's on a point system, so it's 500 points total, and then it's broken down in different categories. There is a category for class participation, learning activities. There are 3 major writing projects that you're going to do, and I'll have videos that talk about each of those assignments on their own in more detail. But the first assignment that you'll be working on in the first couple weeks of the course is the rhetorical analysis paper. That's worth 20% of your overall course grade. And then the second unit will be based on around the community-based argument paper, and that's another 20% of your grade. And then the final unit, which is split up into 2 parts, is a more intensive research paper. This is a little bit longer, it's more in depth. You'll be writing for an audience in your field, and that's paired up with the final portfolio, which is an expectation for all English 101 and 300 courses, that you complete a portfolio that brings all your work together from the course and shows evidence of what you've done and also evidence of reflecting on that work. So the other couple things, I did mention that there will be peer reviews that you need to complete, and those peer reviews total will be 10% of your course grade. And there are a couple of reflections throughout the semester that I'm asking you to do as well. So you can see the point breakdown, the percentage breakdown of the different categories on the syllabus. Right under that is the grading scale, kind of the point breakdown there, so how many points you need overall in the course to get whatever grade you're looking for. So do note that I grade assignments on the plus-minus scale individually, but Washburn's grading system overall is a whole letter grade. So you know, your final grade will be calculated on a 10-point scale. So the next step, or the next part of the syllabus, is the breakdown of the calendar, and I'm not going to go over that, but definitely look over that. There's a calendar with dates and a kind of a points checklist with each of these assignments. You can kind of keep track of what you're doing throughout the course. So all that's there, but this information is in multiple places, so you know it shouldn't be hard to find anywhere. So technology requirement, as I said, you need to have access to the internet and D2L. I will be posting announcements regularly. I'll be returning your assignments to you through D2L with especially comments and feedback on your papers and things like that. So you need to make sure you have access to a computer, you can get online regularly, and you're able to regularly get on D2L. I do recommend the best browser that seems to work with D2L is Mozilla Firefox, which you can download for free if you don't have it. So I'd take some time to get that early on if you haven't done so. There are directions for how to do a system check, how to get in touch with me, things like that on the syllabus. So look over that. So as I mentioned, the program I use is Zoom, which you can see there's a link there for our one-on-one individual consultations. So basically, I will have kind of a standing meeting room, and you can, if you want to set up a time to meet, or you just want to set up a time to talk to my office hours, you can go into that meeting room, and we'll, if I'm online, I'll be there and we can talk. So you can see the system requirements there, learn a little bit more about Zoom. So all that information is on the syllabus for you to look over. The minimum technical skill, because this is an online course, you need to have a couple of things that you're familiar and comfortable with doing, just so you don't fall behind in the course. So using D2L, so hopefully at this point you should be familiar with D2L and how it works, being able to use email and check it regularly, and then being able to create and submit files using Word, because that will be important to how I give feedback to you. So you can talk to ITS about some of the general issues related to technical problems with your account, things like that. So how to get Office 365, that kind of stuff. And the hours and the website are on the syllabus as well. There's also some online educational support you can use as well. So there's information about that on the syllabus. Just under the student expectations of instructor, that kind of goes over what I've already talked about. My goal is to be available and help you out however I can, and I will respond to emails in a timely manner. As I said, on the weekend, it might be a little bit longer, but otherwise, I should be getting back to you pretty regularly. Because the course runs from basically on a Monday to Sunday schedule, you'll kind of start out the week with the exclusion of the first day, which I think counts as part of the first week. So you start on Sunday the 12th, and then your first set of assignments are all due on that following Sunday, March 19th. So there are a couple of times, as I mentioned, with peer reviews and things like that, where there are other deadlines, but basically that's how the course runs. So the content for the next week will be made available, at the previous week, and that's more for our units. So you'll have access to a whole unit when it opens up, but the new unit will open up basically before prior to the end of the previous one. So grading with assignments and everything, I will be getting everything back to you within 7 days. So usually a weekly turnaround. If for some reason something comes up that can't happen, I will be sure to let you know and communicate and get you your grades as soon as possible, but I really don't anticipate that being a problem at all. So that's kind of the time frame. So please, during the week, if especially if you just turn in a paper, give me a couple of days to make sure I can get you feedback and everything. There may be the potential or the need at some point if we have to alter the syllabus schedule for some reason. If that is the case, which again I don't anticipate it being, but if it is, I will update the course schedule and the syllabus and everything online. Make sure to post an announcement, send out an email, and contact you with all that information so you're aware of any necessary changes. Now, the expectations for you. So this is, because it's an online course, a lot of it is about working at your own pace, but attendance is important. So especially when we do peer reviews, you have firm deadlines, and those deadlines can't be moved. Those assignments aren't optional, so you got to make sure that you are getting the work done and meeting those deadlines, because it's not just getting your assignment submitted, it is then your classmates who will need to have access to your drafts to provide comments, complete that activity. So if you miss those deadlines, you're not just hurting yourself, you're hurting your classmates in the process. So so do be aware of all deadlines. They're pretty clearly marked throughout the course site, throughout the syllabus, throughout the calendar, things like that. So if you ever have questions about when things are due, make sure you contact me, and I'm glad to get to talk to you about it, however, and kind of inform you on whatever we need to talk about. So if you anticipate missing some period of time, I would say definitely contact me as soon as possible. The reality is that this is such a fast-paced course. This is 8 weeks. That if you miss a significant chunk of time, the reality is you probably won't be able to catch up. But if you anticipate maybe just needing a day on something, that might be something we can work on. I can't, again, guarantee on anything depending on the situation. But don't, by all means, please contact me. There is a late policy, so if especially with the major assignments like your writing projects, if they aren't completed by the submitted by the deadline, every calendar day that they're late is a letter grade off that paper before I start grading it. So, usually assignments are due, I think, for the most part on Sundays. There might be, the last assignment might be a little bit different. But so if your assignment's due on a Sunday and I don't get your paper till Tuesday, that's 20 points you're going to lose off your paper before I ever start grading it. So make sure you get it submitted on time, and if you anticipate an issue, contact me and let me know. Computer problems aren't an excuse for late work, especially with an online course. So you need to make sure your stuff is working regularly. Give yourself time to submit, to deal with any problems, things like that. So just a note there too that all the course materials and activities are mine. So you can't take them and use them except to study. So don't take them and share them wherever. But I don't think you'll do that. So as I mentioned, there's a late policy that the assignment goes over, or the syllabus goes over. And so just to, again, if you especially miss things like peer reviews, that affects everybody else. It's going to be a big hit on your grade and your participation for the course. You can't really make up minor assignments and things like that because of the fast pace of the course. So make sure you're keeping on top of those deadlines. So as it says there, if you do need, one thing is that if you do anticipate you need an extension, potentially of a day or two, you can contact me ahead of time and ask for that. It needs to be at least 72 hours beforehand, though. So you can't contact me the night of and say, oh, I need more time. You won't get an extension then. But if you do see, if you have something coming up, or paper happens to be due at the same time you have 5 assignments due for other courses, let me know and we can potentially work on moving that deadline. So the under general criteria, basically just you need to make sure you're following all directions with each assignment. Students must use grammatically correct English, as it says. Basically, your responses, especially on minor assignments, things like that, should be legible. I should be able to understand them. I won't be picking them all apart for grammar necessarily, but if it is difficult to understand what you're saying in your reflection, that's not going to go well. So expectations and academic dishonesty, all work you do for this class has to be your work. It can't be work done for another class. It can't be work for another section of 300 you started in the past. Obviously, it can't be anything you plagiarize or take offline. So if I do find you plagiarizing, if you participate in any form of academic dishonesty, that will be grounds for you receiving an F for the course. If you happen to encounter a point where you anticipate one of our projects kind of coinciding or working along with one of projects from one of your other classes, you can talk to me about that. You need to talk to your other professor about it as well. And if we both say it's okay and you want to use it for both, then we'll kind of move forward with that. So part of plagiarism too is making sure you cite all your outside sources. And so for this class, I'm asking that you use APA 6th edition. So you need to cite all outside information, make sure you have sources, make sure they're cited correctly. Failure to cite your sources in your paper is plagiarism and will be treated as such. So there are guidelines in the syllabus as well for online discussion protocols. So when you have discussions with one another on class, which happens at 1 or 2 points, basically the gist here is that you should respect your classmates, obviously. Make sure, again, when you're asked to respond to a topic, that you do so fully. As it says there, avoid short responses. Make sure you're adding new things to the discussion, not just repeating what other people are saying. Make sure you've responded to other people's posts and things like that. So I did kind of moving down. I did mention before that for the virtual class session, basically at one point throughout the course, in that really that's up to you when you want to set up that meeting. You and I need to meet individually, whether it's via Zoom or face-to-face, and we can talk about whatever paper you're working on, whatever questions you have. You are more than welcome to do that more than once. You're welcome to do that as many times as you'd like. So if you'd like to meet up, set up a conference for each assignment, we can definitely do that. And you're encouraged to, but you need to do so at least once throughout the course. So with each module, you will notice, so basically with each unit, you'll have a lot of smaller learning activities. Those have particular deadlines, and those are usually designed to help you work on particular concepts or aspects that will kind of lead to the larger writing project. So make sure you complete those. You read all the directions, things like that. You're staying up with the readings. So I already mentioned there are 3 major writing projects: the rhetorical analysis, the community-based argument, and the research essay and final portfolio assignment. One of the things to keep in mind is there are particular formatting guidelines, as the syllabus talks about here, but you also need to submit all 3 major writing projects to pass the course. So let's say you turn in your first 2 projects, the rhetorical analysis and the community-based argument, and you get A's on both of them. You think, all right, awesome, I'm just not going to do the research paper. Well, no matter if you got a perfect grade on everything else in the rest of the class, by not submitting that assignment, you would not pass the course. So you need to make sure you submit all 3 major writing projects as well as the final portfolio. All those projects will be submitted via D2L. Their Dropbox is open. There is a file naming format that I do ask you to follow on the assignment there, which is your last name, first initial, dot course assignment, and that'll help me just kind of keep everything together and keep track of stuff. So for the peer reviews, as I mentioned, I would come back to this. So you do have peer reviews for each of the major writing projects. So there are a couple of steps. So the first thing you will always do is there will be a discussion board open for the peer review activity, and that's where you will post the draft of your paper. And I will set up groups, and you'll see your name on the group, so you'll know who to submit which group to submit your paper to. And then you'll have usually, I believe it's 48 hours to take the peer review activity, which will be on D2L, and complete it for both of the other papers in your group. And then post that feedback in the same discussion board. So basically, once this is done, we'll all be able to go into your group's discussion board thread and see all 3 papers as well as the 2 sets of feedback from each peer reviewer in that discussion board. So this will allow both me and your classmates to look at your feedback and use it, so they can use it when revising their papers, and I can look at it in order to grade the peer review activities. So it's noted right there in the syllabus. The peer reviews especially depend on you and your classmates submitting your papers on time, submitting the peer review responses on time. So make sure that you are aware of and you're following those deadlines. There's a note there too. Keep in mind that everything you're writing for this class should be kind of thought of as public property, in the sense that you're sharing your ideas with others. So as a peer reviewer, which we'll get into a little bit more when we get to the first peer review activity, that means to be respectful. Right? Your goal is to obviously help your peer review group members get their paper better, make it stronger, but also that doesn't mean being a jerk, telling them they're stupid, things like that. It also means that if you're writing about something that you're really passionate about, or you're reading a paper by somebody and it's about a topic you're really passionate about, this is not about, when you're doing feedback, it's not about whether you agree or disagree. And sometimes it can be really beneficial to have an alternative point of view. Somebody who's maybe a resistant reader come and read your paper and think about how you can make your argument stronger and things like that. So if you're writing about something that you feel so strongly that you're just not going to listen to what anybody else has to say, you should probably think about choosing another topic, because it's not really going to work for the peer review activity. On the flip side, if you're reading a paper that you feel like you're just going to be too emotionally invested and you can't give an honest peer review, get in touch with me ASAP, and we'll talk about what we might be able to do. But usually the goal is just be respectful and help your group mates get their paper stronger, as they should be doing for you as well. So there's a couple of reflection assignments where basically just ask you to kind of think about the work you've done through each unit, and kind of take a moment and look at that whole body of work you've just completed. I did mention as well, there's a final portfolio element. So we'll get more towards the specifics of the final portfolio towards the end of the course. It is worth 30 points. It's graded holistically with an emphasis on project 3, which I'll talk about what all that means when we get there. But basically, you'll submit all this. It's going to include all 3 of your major writing projects, as well as a reflective cover letter and at least a revised version of either your first or second paper. So email expectations, again, basically make sure you're able to access and respond to email in a timely manner. Beyond that, you'll notice at the bottom just a link to the Washburn Master Syllabus, which has other important policies, so things like the mission of the university, what a credit hour is, all that kind of stuff. So, make sure you look over that. You're familiar with the Student Services Center, Student Health Services, the Counseling and Disability Services, the Center for Student Success especially, and the withdrawal and attendance and administrative withdrawal policies. So those are, it's kind of the rundown of the syllabus and the general expectations for the course. So as you move forward, there's plenty of direction hopefully for you online, but please feel free to contact me if you have questions about things. Like I said, there will be assignments with, or videos with each of the major assignments to talk about those in more detail and what the expectations are there. So, take the time to watch those. If you have questions, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, good luck. I'm excited to see what you all come up with in the class. I'm always really excited to read your papers because I think everybody tends to bring a lot of interesting and different ideas, and that's one of the things I really enjoy about the class. So, otherwise, good luck. Look over the calendar. You make sure you're getting stuff done this first week. Let me know if you have questions, and I look forward to reading your first set of assignments. All right, thanks.